Well, after so much hype and talk about Stormy Daniels being this big reveal and that it would upset the Trump administration's apple cart, it's passed. And for those of you that wanted some visuals, well, I mean, you can check out the video if you want to see some saggy boobs. Go ahead. I don't think I need visuals for this presentation on Stormy Daniels. I think the real point here, and I get complaints right and left from people who first of all, especially people who don't watch the beginning of my live streams, that I'm not talking about actual policy, but I don't care because this is it's still important because there is an issue of what is the media focusing on and what does that indicate. So this is something important, Carlos. So in any case, why is Stormy Williams important? Well, it indicates what is the what's the focus that the media is on and how it's disconnected to the real concerns and problems of the average viewer, and why so many viewers are turning away from CBS News and 60 Minutes. First of all, let's analyze what they did with the interview. 60 Minutes has so many accomplished people. I kind of feel hard. It's hard to say that anymore, but they had Leslie Stahl, and they had I think Ed Bradley's still on it or something. I haven't seen 60 Minutes probably in 10 years. And that kind of shows you what the state of the program is in. So they had to bring in Anderson Cooper from CNN in order to conduct the interview because they didn't want her to, you didn't want somebody with saggy boobs that's an over-the-hill porn star sitting across the table or the room from somebody whose face looks like a catcher's mitt that's seen a few too many fastballs from Tom Glavine. In any case, yes, Stormy Daniels. Yes, the choice of interviewer is one indication of why it is kind of bullshit. And not that the story itself is not bullshit. Another reason that it's complete bullshit. Suddenly you have people, and I'm not talking just about the media or about the Democratic Party, but I'm talking about people in the audience. The people, the Dems who are rank and file people, who they'll comment on a post and say, yeah, this just shows what type of man he is with Melania Trump, and she probably doesn't sleep with him, and she did it for the money, and things like that, and it's not a real marriage, it's a fake marriage. It's such fake outrage from Democrats who have never. The Democrats have never cherished the marriage as an institution. I don't care about marriage as an institution either. By the way, I think since gay marriage, for example, marriage is a joke. so I mean, if you think that you're going to get Republicans to turn against Donald Trump because suddenly he's revealed to be an immoral and unethical spouse, you don't understand that it's actually the decades of social rot that made this type of reality basically everyday life. The fact is that not only did President Clinton serially cheat on his wife and lie to and I mean, it's debatable whether he lied to her about it. There's also indications that Hillary Clinton cheated on Bill, but Al Gore has been known to go to massage parlors and get happy endings. So, I mean, if they really want to go down that road of trashy cheating on your spouse, cheating with a porn star is much less trashy than going to an Arkansas convention in 1990. I think it was 1991. Seeing Paula Jones working there, sending two state troopers over there to tell her to come up to your hotel room, and then pulling her pants down and showing her little bill. So there's no point here for and they'll always trot out the fact she's a private citizen now. Well, you can't just point at Hillary anymore. It's can't you let it go? Can't you let it go? The election's over. If the election's over, then you should shut the fuck up already. You haven't shut the fuck up since the election. It's a it's the same thing that happened. Look, there's very few people on the left who have moved on since the 2016 election. I'd say one person I've observed, Thomas Frank. I've seen his videos. He immediately did the proper autopsy. The Democratic Party, as it is, has never done the proper autopsy. CBS News, CNN, the Democratic-leaning media, the left-leaning media, and I do say they're the left-leaning media because they're socially, on social issues, they're very left-wing. They've never done the proper autopsy and concluded that they're very out of touch with ordinary Americans. And when they bring up affairs that Donald Trump had outside of marriage from over a decade before he ran for president, they don't understand that people have long since stopped caring about that. I personally didn't care when I was a kid that Bill Clinton was cheating on his wife. If I was married to her, I probably would have been some sort of a pill addict or something, or had some sort of night terrors or something. It's scary to wake up to that type of apparition in the morning. Hillary Clinton in the morning, come on. So I think that I know some of you are wondering, well, if you're going to talk about this, why talk about it so long? So there's a little more to that too. So first of all, yes, there's the moral grandstanding, which in the past, yeah, the Republicans were all about that. Nowadays, everybody knows the Republicans are all about nothing because they just passed a gigantic spending bill that includes the Cloud Act that violates the Fourth Amendment, and they're talking about compromising on gun rights. So people know that the Republican Party is full of crap. So you're going to add to that by making the Democratic Party seem even more obviously full of crap, and it's really not going to move anything either way. So there's for people who really want to make a difference, you should pay attention maybe to your primary races. If you're a progressive, I guess try to vote for some progressive candidates. Some Fruit Loop who wants to give everybody, I don't know, free iPhone cases so that when they're biking on their they can have their phone at their side because they're going to ban all fossil fuels or something. That's just trolling. That's just trolling, Carlos. I know you think I'm just saying, vote for a progressive, vote for a true progressive, somebody who will basically mandatory sex changes and abortions after the after grade if you can't if your carbon footprint is too large. So progressive, baby, let's go all the way. Anyway, yeah, there's but yeah, seriously, if you're a progressive, yeah, you should probably vote for somebody who will be committed to a single payer agenda. But if you're not a progressive like me, you should vote for somebody who is absolutely going to vote against any gun rights, any gun control legislation. Somebody who will commit to repealing Obamacare and vote for that on day one. Somebody who will probably openly clash with Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. There has to be some movement towards the sides in Congress, and people think, oh, you're just talking about more polarization. I don't give a fuck. Okay, the center has accomplished nothing. The center's accomplished nothing. We're getting into even more debt, and now Donald Trump is making excuses about how, Congress, they made me do this because I needed the money for national security. I don't care. If it's that way, then you should probably tell Paul Ryan to resign, and that's it. Why is it? I get it that they hold the gauntlet over his head. If the Republicans wanted to impeach him, they could. but we're done having to listen to people at the top just make excuses right and left. And what does what does CBS News and CNN focus on? Stormy Daniels. And here's another issue with that. So I've heard a lot of people who, and I've seen them on threads, who keep saying, "Oh, whenever I hear her name, these are especially liberals. They say I remember the the Broadway play Stormy Weather or something. Stormy Weather was some sort of a Broadway show tune or something. I don't even know if I've ever heard it for sure. So when you do that, when you say something about getting a reference from Broadway, you're telegraphing to the rest of the country that you are from a higher social class. People from Middle America, from the Midwest, don't go to Broadway plays. They've never heard of any of the during the election when De Blasio and Hillary Clinton were at that appearance for Hamilton, and they did that pandering with the crowd and the CP time and everything. Yeah, that's something that they were trying to appeal to upper class fundraisers and donors and people who were connected with the Democratic establishment, and not really the people who are the working class, who are traditional Democratic voters from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Kentucky, places. And nobody cares about Broadway in Middle America. Nobody. There's states in the Midwest. There probably aren't even Broadway theaters. Because Broadway, I think, is some sort of circuit of theaters where plays appear or something, Phantom of the Opera or whatever. I think we have one where I live. I think we had to go there for middle school or something. We had like some free presentation of a play, but I don't even know if that was a Broadway play. But ultimately, when you telegraph, and so many of these celebrities have been making fun of, oh, Stormy Daniels, that reminds me of the play Stormy Weather. Well, again, I had an argument with number 80 yesterday on the live stream, and he said, well, it shouldn't matter that Emma Gonzalez has the Cuban flag on her sleeve because it's really about her representing her identity. Nobody gives a fuck about your stupid identity. You're at a gun control demonstration with a shaved head, a military jacket with a Cuban flag on the sleeve. What the fuck does that look like? It looks like you're a communist trying to confiscate people's weapons. Your heritage doesn't mean shit to anybody. Nobody gives a fuck about your roots. You're appearing on national TV. You think anybody's going to ask where your parents come from? So, and then they say, well, if people would just do the research and get it, it doesn't matter, because the issue here is perception. Perception defines reality. And what they're doing over here is going to make reality very, very difficult for the Democrats, because if people do realize that, for example, the tax cuts benefit them more than they hurt them, or they start to see issues with, for example, immigration policy in their state that Democratic governors or officials are facilitating, why are they going to care about Stormy Daniels? What does Stormy Daniels have to do with what's going on in their personal lives? And then another issue with this is that it shows the Democrat and liberal and progressive disregard for what law means, what it means to have a legal agreement. Stormy Daniels did enter into a non-disclosure contract about her whatever she did with Donald Trump, having a sex romp, whatever it would be. Let's say. So, there was like a raucous debate this weekend about it with some friends of mine, and some of them said, well, I mean, she had a good faith offer that she made to Donald Trump to return the money, and she has the money to give back. So she's now released from that contract. That's not exactly, first of all, even if it was, it shows to some degree that this is a person who lacks actual, she lacks actual ethics and character. People are like, well, she signs a contract and then she goes back on it, and she received money for it. So that shows very clearly that this is somebody who doesn't have any credibility to her name. Another issue is that she's currently a sex worker performing in strip clubs, and she's using the whole publicity around this in order to generate attention for her shows. So for many people, this is a naked play, no pun intended, for attention. And these are the same people who pretended that Donald Trump was obligated to present his tax returns during the election. There's actually no law that says that. It's traditionally done by politicians, and by tradition, when you say the word tradition, you're actually talking about a concept that Democrats, progressives, and liberals don't give a shit about. They don't give a fuck about any traditions. They're actually in favor of destroying a lot of traditions in America. When there was traditional marriage, nobody stood up and it was voted on, and people voted for traditional marriage in votes in California and across the country. They said, well, no, we're going to take it to court. Your traditions don't mean shit to us. Not now when it comes to tax returns. Well, traditionally, politicians release their tax returns. Well, I mean, I thought you don't give a fuck about traditions. I thought tradition doesn't mean shit to you. There's there's this idea going around among Democrats and progressives and liberals that people who are conservative are Bible thumping rednecks that fuck all their cousins and live in a shack under a tree stump. And they don't understand that because of you people, you pieces of shit, there's more people who have renounced liberalism, renounced progressivism, and renounced all of that crap. And they just believe in other things. It might not even be conservatism. I don't necessarily define myself as a conservative. I believe more in civil liberties and in the social realm, and that means you can be you can be whatever you want to be. That doesn't mean I can't make fun of you. I can say whatever the fuck I want about you, and you can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt somebody. But you can't abridge my freedom of speech, just like I can't limit your freedom of activity, freedoms of self-expression. At the same time, in the past, many of us were economically more progressive, and we've done our research, and we see that economic progressivism, economic, social democratic policies like the welfare state are not what we want for the country, and we've rejected it. So none of it has to do with the Bible. None of it has to do with morality. None of it has to do with not cheating on your wife with a porn star. So people have to get over their whole butthurt about the 2016 election. And if you present an alternative to Donald Trump, then people have what to look for. People have what to choose. If you don't, then people are basically going to look at you at the party that's now you're the moral police. You're the ones. Sticks Hexenhammer calls them the pearl clutchers. I call them the Scarlet Letter Brigade. They're saying, oh, he cheated on his wife. He's such a bad husband. Well, he was a bad husband 30 years ago too. He cheated on Ivana Trump as well. He cheated on Marla Maples. I mean, nobody's ever called him a good husband. People have liked Donald Trump over the years because he sells them shit that they like. And they've hated Hillary Clinton over the years because she couldn't sell blood to a vampire. So you have to get over that and get over your fucking butthurt. Bernie fans too, you also should shut the fuck up already and move on from Bernie and find somebody else. Just shut the fuck up and find somebody else. There's plenty of other wingnuts that will support single payer, and you don't have to pretend that he's like Merlin from the fucking King Arthur tales. He's an idiot. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk later.